Good morning, Facebook. This is take number 3. I've tried to do this video now 3 times. I want to preface this conversation about ghosts at this inn with the fact that I have never looked online, even now, a few days in dealing with this. I haven't looked online and read any ghost stories about this inn on purpose. I've never gone on a Downeyville Halloween history tour. So I think I'm going to keep it that way because that ensures that my experience and what I have encountered recently, it's not tainted or biased by things I've read, because I haven't read any. And this is a whole new territory for me. And I haven't slept since 1 o'clock in the morning when I woke up to some craziness, which I'll get into in a minute. My book, Amazing, it's called Amazing because it deals with supernatural events, angels, demons, prophecies, a promised fortune up and coming, not for my own purposes, for God's, but it is a tremendous book filled with mind-blowing things that I experienced, things I didn't ask for, but that God sent my way. And I had a hard time for a while just coming to terms with putting it in print because it's a lot to unpack, and I didn't want to come off as delusional. And 4 different pastors from 4 denominations read the book, loved it, gave written endorsements, and I kept it in my voice. You know, my black sheep of a, I'm a black sheep of a preacher's, from a preacher family. And I stayed true to my own voice in this book, relaying these experiences. And I held my breath, but each of these pastors read the book. I was humbled, gave these glowing endorsements. It wouldn't be fair for me to come in at the end and add this chapter about ghosts, which is all new territory for me, okay? It will be absolutely in the second book, which is going to be titled Fulfillment of Promise, which picks up after Amazing ends. I think I'm going to work backwards. I know we're at 2 minutes, but just stay with me here because this is all just kind of new territory for me. I'm trying not to freak out because I know that God is in me and He's greater than all of that stuff. So again, I prefaced already. I made a little sheet on because I wanted to kind of stay on. Don't want to ramble, which I'm rambling. A little list. So let's preface. I prefaced. Okay. So I'm tired. All right. Haven't slept. I did a little war paint on my face so I could see my husband before he goes to work for a little minute. So again, I haven't looked on any websites, researched stories, gone on the Halloween history tour because I guess they talk about some of this stuff. I'm going to work backwards in this timeline of events. So basically last night I went to bed, before I went to bed, and I was really tired. I was hearing voices, female voices. I wouldn't say it's the first time, but I went to bed and on my JBL, which is, let's see, right there, had that beside me. I played worship music. Now, normally I fall asleep to the sound of rain on a YouTube video. Sometimes I'll listen to the Book of Psalms by Max McLean with headphones in if I'm having a hard time with different things going on, that's 4 hours. Well, I don't know, because of this, what I'm about to reveal, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do some worship music. Now, I love all kinds of music. I'll be the first one on the dance floor with some 80s music. I love grunge. I love rock music. I love country. I love classical music. I love all bluegrass. Oh my gosh, the Steel Drivers. I could just go on. I love music. I'm a musician. I love music. But there is something very powerful about worship music. And worship music in the 80s, it sucked. It royally sucked. It's like, I think God was embarrassed, honestly. It sucked. Fortunately, we have brilliant brilliant and talented musicians and artists out there, like, there is no excuse. If you can't find a song to praise the Lord with, I mean, that's on you. That's all I'm going to say. 5 minutes and I'm rambling. Okay, so here we go. So because of this ghost stuff going on, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to sleep with some worship music. Normally, I don't listen to worship music when I sleep because I have like one album that's kind of chill and I can fall asleep to, and the other ones are like upbeat, want to like dance, praise the Lord, woohoo, you know, get your praise on type of a thing. So it's not really like conducive for sleeping. So, but all this spiritual stuff going on around here, I was like, I'm putting on some worship music. And would you know that several times my music stopped abruptly to the point where like I was like instantly awoken out of my sleep feeling like there was something there. Okay, so that's this last night. And then this, the last thing ended at like 1:30, and I'm just like, I'm going to get up because I couldn't stop thinking about this stuff. Okay, so let's rewind to Pat's birthday on April 12th. Before we went to Feathers for his birthday dinner, we had a drop-in guest from Utah who has ties to this town, and he's coming back for the Downeyville reunion. So I booked him in room 11 by the pool, and then I said, hey, why don't you want to come see your room that you have booked for the reunion? We're going to pass it by. So we go up the stairs to this room, and he proceeds to tell me, oh, did you know about the ghost, about this little girl who drowned and this other lady and da-da. Well, I kind of put that immediately. I just changed the conversation because I'm not trying to hear all that noise right now. And so I show him the room, da-da-da. I go to dinner with Pat. We get back from Feathers. These ladies drop in from Modesto, California. Long story short, I showed them 2 rooms. And the first room, they were like, okay, whatever. The second room was the same room that guy I had shown that guy earlier with the ghost stories. So I take the 2 ladies in this room and just open the door. I'm like, okay, so this room has 2 queen beds, da-da-da, give her like the spill. One of them starts wigging out. I don't know what's going on, but it's like she's in a rush to get out of that room. She's like, we're gonna take the other room, da-da-da, let's go. So I'm just kind of like, whatever, And I was like, hey, if you guys haven't eaten, because I'm looking at my well, it was really my cell phone. I was looking at my cell phone. I'm like, if you guys haven't eaten, you better go to Feathers. I told them how to get there because she might be the only place open. You can check in. I'll come out when you guys get done, and then you can pay and get your room key, but at least get some dinner because that's all there is. I didn't know if Jada's was open. So they go to dinner, and then about 90 minutes later, I just kind of am around the office in case one of them starts to come, at least one of them, and one of them does. She comes, gets the key, she pays for the room, I walk her out the door, and I'm just kind of making sure, because she's more senior, and it's starting to get dark, that, she makes it down the stairs okay, doesn't trip, and da-da-da, saying my goodnight, and she turns around and says to me, comes back up, turns around, she says, I just want to tell you that the reason that we picked the other room is because when we got up to that room and went in the door, my friend, she felt a presence in that room. And I was like, well, you had to tell me that, huh? Because just a couple hours later, just a couple hours earlier, Mr. Nice Man from Utah was telling me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm working backwards here, right? It's 9 minutes in. You're still with me. A couple of you are. I should just have my own podcast, right? Make some extra money on the side. Well, anyway, so let's rewind. Keep going further back. So March 12th, I have it in my phone. I was by myself downstairs in the laundry room. Nobody's here. Nobody. And no guests, no staff, just me in the laundry room. And I'm hearing footsteps above me. I messaged that to one of the staff. I'm like, wow, I hear footsteps above me. And I'm just like, okay, Jesus, I'm just going to pretend that this ain't happening. I'm going to tell you, when I was a little girl, when we lived in Tampa, Florida, my dad was a pastor of a church in Tampa. And then he became a pastor. He moved to California, became a pastor in Hayward. And both churches, big sanctuaries. And he had me in piano lessons when I was 6 years old. So this little girl that I am, 6 years old, he'd send me out into the sanctuary to practice piano. And I would just get so scared, and I was terrorized by all these little like sounds and noises. And it was just horrible, just horrible. And I'd hear it, I'd get scared, and I'd just run. My little feet would run all the way down the sanctuary, through the doors to my dad's office. He's working on his sermon. That happened in Tampa. That happened in California. When I heard those footsteps, yeah, that's kind of what that made me feel like, So, let me see all my notes. Let me see where we're at here. Okay, da-da-da-da-da. All I can say is that I think that just because the Bible doesn't necessarily talk about something doesn't mean it doesn't exist or we have all the information. For example, I believe that there's other intelligent life. Like, why would we confine God, who's the mastermind of creativity, right? Why do we think we're the only intelligent life form here? Just because the Bible doesn't mention it doesn't mean it's not there. He's not obligated to talk about everything that he's made or every facet of life or existence in the Bible. The Bible there's a reason for it. There's a message. It's relaying God's heart to us, humanity. Not everything is talked about here. So when we talk about ghost and spirits, I'm led to 1 Samuel 28, and where Saul consults a medium, and she brings back Samuel, the prophet who had died. And Samuel's not happy to be brought back from the dead. But it shows that, there's things that really aren't explained. And some Christians are going to say, well, and I do believe as a Christian, your last breath on this earth, you're with Jesus. But that doesn't mean other things don't happen. That doesn't mean that maybe, my dad who's with the Lord or other people don't maybe pop in and see us. I don't know. Just because it's not talked about doesn't mean that it's off the table, right? Now, some Christians feel like when you're talking about ghosts, that it's just straight up a demonic thing. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about that. But what I do know is that I'm just going to play my worship music, okay? Because I don't know why God had that happen to me, allowed me to, I could have been off that day. Things just work out, I could have ended up having that day off, but the timing. So Mr. Utah gets shown the room, tells me about the drowning, da-da-da. And I did confirm with someone at the sheriff's office that there was a drowning on a particular year, and I'm going to get more information about that. But as far as researching websites, I'm just not interested. I am interested to see what God shows me and what his plan is in all of this. I'm just going to just keep praising the Lord and not be afraid. But it is kind of like weird and a little scary. But then I had to remember, like, wait a second, you're badass because Jesus is in me. So, one of my stories in my book Amazing is when I was listening to worship music walking to work. And I don't focus too much on angels or demons. I try to keep my focus on Jesus. But on this particular walk to work, for some reason, I was listening to worship music, and for some rare moment, I closed my eyes and I imagined angels walking with me. I don't do that very often. I don't worship angels, and I don't really, I know that I have some around me. I know that God sends them. I know that when I listen to worship music, they descend because God says that he inhabits the praise of his people. So that means that when we play worship music, he comes to us in a different way. I mean, he's always with us. He's with us, in us, around us. But when we are playing and praising worship music, singing his praises, whether it's worship music or playing an instrument or whatever, he says that he comes down and he inhabits the praise of his people. So anyways, I'm walking to work and I close my eyes for just a few seconds and I imagine that angels are surrounding me while I'm listening to this worship music, just praising the Lord, and I'm thinking about walking with these angels. And when I opened my eyes, this pit bull was charging me at light speed, teeth bared, growling. I was pregnant with my son at the time. There was no time to react. All I could do was stand still. I couldn't even breathe. I was like bracing for a very horrific impact of this pit bull. I like Stranger Things. I'm a Stranger Things fan, and I really used to like that other one. Oh my gosh, I can't even think of it. The other sci-fi, but it's a little too gory for me. Anyway, so when this pit bull leaped in the air, I saw it. It stayed in the air. It was turned around, dropped, and ran off. I mean, angels, worship music, God inhabiting. So that's all I can do. I don't have answers. I don't know. It's kind of like I don't want to hear voices. I don't want to hear girls talking, and I don't want to hear footsteps, and I don't care to know any more ghost stories. I just want to have a good many years here, and my thing is, I'm going to wrap this up at 20 minutes. My thing is, I don't know the intention of spirits because, like I said, not everything is really laid out, every little detail of the world in this Bible. All I know is that if you're going to come at me, you better bring an army, because I'm just, when I snap out of it, like, okay, everyone gets afraid for a second, and that's normal. But then you think, okay, wait a second, who do I belong to? Who's in charge here? And every spirit ultimately bows down to Jesus, So I'm just gonna, what gives me the heebie-jeebies? Cottage 16. I was telling Mike yesterday, we were talking about these stories. I need to clean 16 today. I'm going to bring in my JBL and my little worship music, and I'm just going to get some cleaning done. I don't know, that whole 16 kind of reminds me of the sanctuary when I was a little girl playing piano. I don't know. Yeah, so there's that. I love my job. I do. Y'all can keep talking, walking above me. I don't care. I ain't going anywhere. And you can get used to my Jesus music. I mean, I could play country or classical or 80s rock or something, but I don't think that's going to send the demons packing. But I'll play some worship music till your ears bleed. So, there's that. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited to get this book done. I mean, it should have been done. This book, Amazing, should have been out last year, but I realized I'm glad it wasn't, because, I have to think of anew about the author page now that I'm no longer with the paper. So there's that. I'm going to be really proud of myself when it's finally in print. And whatever happens with these ghost stories, it's going to be for a very entertaining and interesting first or second chapter in the new book fulfillment of promise, which I'm already going to start on that. But I'm just curious. I'm asking God, like, why? Why did I have to hear the story from that man, and then the two old ladies, and then the one feeling the prayer? Like, what's the purpose in that, Lord? How can He be glorified in that? Well, I don't know all the answers, but I'm going to be playing my music. All right. Have a great day.